All right, week 3 college football breakdown. Moving on to my hometown, the city of Houston. Houston Cougars facing off with Kansas, who's 2-0, by the way. Picked up a Big 12 win last week at West Virginia. Seeing the market showing some love to Kansas. This line is down from 10, 10.5, all the way to Houston minus the 9 at home. And the total is right at 57.5 as well. I'm kind of in wait and see mode on Kansas because I think Lance Leipold long term is a really good hire for him. And it seems to already be paying pretty quick dividends here in year 2. They go on the road in conference play and beat a team in West Virginia that I was actually kind of high on. I've been right on a lot of my preseason bets. It doesn't seem like West Virginia is going to be one of them. The one thing this Kansas team can do is run the football. I think that running back room is the clear strength of this team. I think Jalen Daniels at quarterback too is actually good enough. This team is not explosive on the outside. They use a lot of jumbo type of sets, fullbacks, tight ends. I do think Houston has its holes, but the one hole that they don't have, assuredly, is that front four defensively. I mean, they probably have the best pass rushing unit in the American Conference and probably a top 10 pass rushing unit in the country. So I do think Houston's going to be able to win against Kansas's offensive line in the trenches. Houston is vulnerable on their offensive line, but I also just don't know if Kansas has what it takes on their defensive line to be able to take advantage of that. So I think overall, Houston is just clearly better in the trenches. I've been the first guy to say it that I think this Houston offense is pretty overrated. They lost their best running back over the summer to a season-ending injury, Alton McCaskill. And since then, I mean, these first 2 games, albeit they've both been on the road, they've both been tough games, but they just haven't been able to really establish any sort of run game. That was kind of an area of concern for them at times last year. So I don't really like these super unbalanced offenses because they're pretty easy to prepare for. With that being said, I do somewhat like this matchup for Houston's offense because Kansas's main weakness on their team is their secondary. Defense did improve throughout last season, and listen, I know they won at West Virginia last week. JT Daniels played a really good game for West Virginia, and West Virginia still put up 42 points in regulation. Seeing this team total for Houston at 33, I think there's a lot of matchups when they're facing a pretty solid defensive line and when they're facing a good secondary, could give them trouble because they just don't have any sort of run game to where I could trust them in that kind of matchup. But I mean, their team totals at 33 here. That seems a little bit low to me. I don't necessarily mind the market move on the spread. I think getting 33 on Houston's team total is a bit of a bargain. So if I had to play this game, I do lean pretty heavily towards the team total over for Houston at 33. I'm not sure if it's going to officially make my card. I've actually already released 4 best bets here for week 3. Gave those out this morning here on Wednesday. Plan to have the rest of my week 3 card out by Thursday. Main place you can follow to see what I'm on officially is Twitter. Follow me there at Fordham Betting. One more thing, guys. Check out proud90.com for all your golf apparel needs. You see this shirt right here. I know you've been staring at it the whole time. They got unique but very comfortable polos as well. They got t-shirts, hoodies, quarter zips. Browse their selection, and if you see anything you like at checkout, use code Fordham. It's going to get you 15% off your order. The rest of the information will be in the description below. Proud90.com, code Fordham. Support me, support Proud90, proud90.com. This is an interesting game. Like I said, Lance Leipold seems to be a good long-term hire for Kansas. Still think Houston has got the advantage in the trenches, specifically that defensive line going up against Kansas's offensive line, and actually think Houston can get away with sort of their imbalanced system going up against this weak Kansas secondary. So do lean towards the Houston team total over 33.